What's up, guys? It's been a little bit. Had a lot of stuff going on here recently. Haven't been able to make too many videos. I've got some footage, but just haven't had a chance to put it all together and make any sort of video. I'm gonna try to do a little bit better on that. But got more work today. We've got a 2002 GMC pickup. It's got the big 8.1. Big motor. Anyway, got to do AC compressor. I didn't diagnose it. The guy said it locked up, so he had to cut the belt off. I don't know why he cut the belt off, but he says he cut the belt off, and so we got to get that fixed. I haven't even looked at it really, so a lot of times the tensioner pulley locks up on these, so that's a possibility. But anywho, we got that to do. And we've got radiator in this Honda Accord. It's 09 4-cylinder. And here's another one. This is a Nissan Altima. This is also the 4-cylinder. Got to change the motor in this car. Low miles in this car. This car's got like 75,000 miles or somewhere along those lines. But what the guy done, he says it was making, oh man, it's early this morning. It was making a lot of noise, rattling, that type sound, and it was running really rough, really rough. Just throwing some timing codes for exhaust over advanced. Pulled out the VVT solenoid, slam full of sludge. Took off the oil cap to look in there, and it's like hot fudge. It's that type consistency. I mean, it is gooped and gummed up everywhere. He says try some engine flush, so I stuck some engine flush in it, ran it, drained it out. I mean, the oil drained out just fine, but you know, the sludge didn't go anywhere. Come to find out, he has not changed the oil in that car for 45,000 miles. That's a long time. 45,000 miles. He's just one of those people that use their vehicles like an appliance. Just gets in, fires it up, and goes. Puts gas in it and nothing else. So, it's not going to last. You have to maintain things. So anyway, we're going to rock and roll here. Something else we done. Well, actually several things. We got us a pool installed. Not installed, we put it up. Had to grade it out a little bit. The pool's not quite level. We're gonna have to do some adjusting on that, but anywho, got us a pool and got some stuff done on the Jeep, the YJ. Got a winch, 9,000 pound winch. That's it, that thing's awesome. Had to get a winch plate, a raised winch plate. So that turned out pretty cool. And something else, I'll be making a video or putting up a video, doing a little update on it. Same thing with it. I didn't make any kind of footage installing it, but it made a drastic improvement. So anyway, well, what we got now? Finally working on this Altima, old Nissan Altima 2015. It's the 4-cylinder 2.5. Pulling the engine out. This is the replacement. This engine has 30 some odd thousand miles, 36,000 something. But it's nice, and she's nice and clean. You can't see it, but it looks brand hammer new inside.
What less miles than that one had on the wall?
I know it. 45,000 miles the guy ran on the oil change on this, and it is just absolute gunk and sludge and something nasty. So what we got now, we've already got everything. Of course, this motor's going to come out the bottom. There's some people that take it out the top, but we're pulling it out the bottom. That's what the manual says. But anyway, what we got now is we're about to take the subframe down here in a minute. Got the coolant draining. Subframe is totally loose. You only have one support bracket, the lower motor mount. It's more of a stabilizer. See, the motor's it's loose, it's wobbling around. You have the one on the bottom for the subframe, and then take loose the steering rack and pinion. 2 bolts for that. You can bungee it up like we did so it doesn't drop down. Take lower control arm loose, ball joint loose from the knuckle. Take the sway bar links loose. You can leave the tie rods attached since the steering rack's staying in the car. Let's see, you've got, heck, I bet that's about it. You know, the plastic covers is on each side and the cover that runs under the front. That's pretty much all. So the subframe will come down, then we got some more stuff up top, and what we'll end up doing is lower the car down to the ground. And lower the car down to the ground, and what we'll do is support the engine and transmission with jack stands. Support with jack stands and then lift the body back up off the car. Or the body back up off the engine. Raise it up in the air and then we swap it out. But that's what we've got. Yeah, this engine's nice and clean. I'll tell you what, LKQ, they do a good job with all their salvaged engines and transmissions. So I've never had a problem. I bought dozens and dozens of motors and transmissions from them. Never had to warranty one out. Of course, I always get the lowest mileage ones we can get a hold of. So this was the lowest mileage one they had available here where we are in the southeast. And in this box, this was also dropped off yesterday. DDK5, that's part number. That is the remanufactured engine for the Jeep JK that we're going to be doing here in a few days. But more on that later. We'll show that to you. So we're going to let this coolant drain a little bit more and rock and roll. Okay, we got coolant drained. Ready to drop this subframe now. Got some of the bolts loose, all 4 of the bolts loose. We got the plates loose on the rear of the subframe, which is them there. Different bolts that hold the plate up there. So we're gonna get some boards put on this transmission jack, support the subframe, lower her down, lower the car down, get everything loose up top. Subframe's down. That didn't take much at all. Very simple to pull down. Just those 4 bolts in each corner, plus those plates at the rear of the car. So we're gonna go ahead and get the got 2 lower bolts for the AC compressor loose. Gotta get the top 2 loose. You do not have to discharge the AC to do this. Take the compressor loose and you can just swing the compressor out of the way, bungee it up, and it's gonna be fine. Here's the steering rack. We just bungeed the steering rack up. You do not have to take any of the lines loose. Hell, you don't even have to take the tie rods loose from the knuckles. Just keep it bungeed up enough to where it does not fall out of the steering shaft up top where it's splined. That's it. But even if it does, it's not that big of a deal as long as you don't rotate the steering wheel. Plus, I believe it's keyed to where it goes in a certain way. Most likely it is, but we're not gonna drop it enough to find out. So, went ahead and got a few more things loose for the cooler for the transmission. You have 2 transmission lines and then 2 coolant lines that flow through here. Got that off. We may pull a few more wires loose. Then we'll drop the car, knock out the stuff up top. Well, what we got now is we lowered it down, got a few more things, lifted it back up, went ahead and got the entire wiring harness disconnected. Because the wiring harness, the way these route, it routes through the fuse box and it routes into the car. Instead of trying to take all that loose, we just got the whole harness loose from the engine. The replacement engine, we can't use that harness because obviously what a lot of salvage yards do, they cut it. So we're gonna have to strip this motor down and reuse the factory harness, which is perfectly fine. You know, we're not complaining about that. It's just, if they would have took the time to disconnect the harness the way they should have, you know, life would go a lot easier. But hey, it is what it is. No need to complain. It's gonna be fine. So we should be good to go now. We just have the 3 engine mounts up top, the transmission mount, engine mount, and then we have like a support strut on the passenger side rear of the engine, and then we'll lower it down. We're gonna switch gears real quick. Get this, ordered this Polaris 65. It's a pool vacuum. Put it in our pool here. There's a lot of junk on the bottom. Since we got the water filled in, we haven't had a chance to vacuum the bottom of the pool. There's not too much that right over there in the middle. And the pool's not perfectly level either. There's a little bit of difference, well, more than a little bit. That's the low side. On the high sides, I don't know, was it about 1.5 inch, 2 inch difference on occasion in different spots? Yeah. It's not perfect, but guess what? It is what it is. So we're gonna get this thing open, get her put in the pool. Got it zoomed in. Little pool shark's working, a little pool vacuum. Yeah, you can see how unlevel that pool is. But for the rest of this season, it's gonna work fine. We'll get a different pool put up next year, and that way the company will come out and level it. But yeah, it's doing good. It's already sucked up almost all the stuff that was floating on the bottom of the pool. That thing's excellent. Let that thing run all day. No problem at all. Alrighty, we are ready to go up with the car. We just draped the harness off to the side, get that completely off the engine and transmission. What we're going to do, we're just going to raise the body of the car up off the and leave the engine sitting down on jack stands. We have four on each corner, 2 on the engine and 2 on the transmission. We'll just raise the body up off of it. So we should have everything up out of the way, hoses, all that good stuff. As far as the engine mount, we left it attached to the side. This nut over here, we just took the 3 bolts loose from here, attached it to the top of the this upper bracket on the engine. Dog bone mount, took this 1 bolt out here. Transmission mount, on the other hand, these didn't have to be taken loose. All right, this has a bracket that comes up through the bottom. This has a nut and 3 bolts. Those do not have to be taken loose. The only ones that have to be taken loose are the 3 bolts that attach to the sides, unless this bolt will come out. So it's just, I think it's just seized up inside. So instead of fighting that, we just took the 3 bolts loose that attach the bracket to the transmission. So okay, got the car up off the engine on jack stands. That wasn't too bad. The only thing that's going to be a little difficult is lining it back up in the exact same spot to go back inside, since these are actually on stationary jacks. But it is what it is. It won't be that bad. So now what we got to do, we got to strip everything down. We already got the heat shield off for the exhaust manifold. Get everything off that's going to go onto that engine. Get the wiring harness off of that engine. And then we'll separate the transmission, get that off to the side, get this engine off, and then put the new engine over here. We may end up marking the floor or something where these jack stands are, so we put it back roughly where it needs to be, so it'll simplify the process. So that's where we're at. Well, car's running. Took a little longer than expected. Had a few things we had to stop and do, but got it bleeding coolant. Just had to put the engine cover on, you know, clean up underneath a little bit, spilled fluids and all that good stuff. But she runs good. She's nice and quiet. Quiet as a mouse. No problem, baby. But yeah, this car was a 75. Oh, let's see if it'll zoom. I don't know. Yeah, 75,000. That's what the car has. Motor has 36,000 some odd miles. Make sure you use the correct fluid on this. Use the Nissan fluid, or Valvoline makes the Xerex, which is this Xerex Asian blah blah blah. That's the right stuff. Get the blue. Look, let the coolant bleed. Check the oil here in a little bit, and another job done.